Take video this time.
Coffee? Sure. But like iced coffee.
You know, like on-run strikes.
That's totally fine too.
I go for inside.
But we're here today. The timing of it is in part because of the recent ruling at the International Court of Justice. And the United States voted for all of the measures that are supposed to be taken. And Israel voted for many of them. So what we're looking for is compliance. And many of us here signed a letter that said right now it is in everybody's best interest, our country, Palestinians and Israelis' best interest, to stop the genocide. It's not making anyone safer. The world is watching the horrors of what's happening there, and anger against Israel, anger against Jews who are associated with that, anger against Americans is rising, and it's only making all of us, putting all of us in a more dangerous position, in addition to what it's doing to us as human beings and as a country that is enabling and fueling this. Hopefully you and Congressman will read the rest of the letter rather than taking our time to go through it right now. Do you have, many of us have many other things we would like to say to you. Do you have any questions for
No,
us?
I would just, I'm here today to listen and to receive your feedback. The letter that you guys are going to give me, I'm going to take directly to the Congresswoman. And I know Pat has already been in communication with our legislative team in DC. I'm not the Congresswoman's foreign policy expert. That's not my day-to-day role. But, you know, understanding that your constituents are here and you want to share your views that would normally get handled by our team in DC, I'm here to take in everything that you have. So please, I'd love to open up the floor to you guys. But
I would just like to add that, you know, the standard response, I think, after Hamas did what it did, was to assume that everybody would support the Israeli government's response. And I think the Israeli government had a right to respond to what Hamas did. It was horrible. But what they're doing is going way overboard. And I think the message to Congresswoman Trahan is that there's a lot of people in the district that don't want to see their tax dollars go to funding that kind of activity. And that whatever the general assumptions are about the way people used to respond to these things, it's changed now. We're not going for it, and we would strongly urge her to call for a ceasefire, make sure if there's going to be, has to be military aid, it has to have conditions on it. And there's a lot of people in this area that support that position.
But I think Lori has a chance to really show leadership in a way that's very unique. And that this is a time in the world where intense levels of courage and intelligence and sensitivity are absolutely needed by every single person in leadership position. But I think she really has a chance to show some light and some power in this, and to really take all the different things being said here, and it's hard to keep up, and it's a complex issue. But to show a way forward, not just the ceasefire, but even beyond that, like how to set the stage for actual conversation, for a future, for the whole world. So my prayers are with you. It's not an easy thing, it's a very difficult thing. And I really appreciate the way you're listening.
The time, excuse me, you know, speaking of leadership, you know, the time for Lori to show some leadership on this is rapidly running out. Rapidly running out. I got a letter back from her office about a week after October 7th, and it was horrendous. It was absolutely it was like it was written by AIPAC. It was just inexcusable. Some of us have been saying right from the beginning that if this continues, this genocide in Gaza continues, it will be impossible to contain the spread of this violence. It will be impossible. And now we see that this is exactly what is happening, and Lori is still silent. The day is coming when the president is going to have to go to Congress to ask for authority to go to war. To go to war with Iran. Because of this lack of leadership by both President Biden and Lori Trahan. So, she needs to step up. She needs to step up. This is not a political question. This is a moral question. Whether we're going to have genocide and war, or we're going to stand up and oppose it. And Lori has been worse than silent on this.
Jim McGovern has spoken up for ceasefire, and he had a campaign event for her back when she was first became the candidate, when she ran. And she can stand with him. She can stand. Elizabeth Warren has spoken out. Both Warren and Markey are on the front, so that she's got, and her sister Presley, Presley, her sister. So it's not as if she has to step out first anymore. She has company within the Massachusetts delegation that would love to have her join them. And right now we are sinking to like the bottom of the planet in terms of our position as moral leaders. We are like at the bottom. And if we don't act now, after the ICJ said that this is probable genocide, if we don't stop now, everything we do is making us complicit in participating in this genocide. My country is now going to be participating, we've already been participating, but we will be shown before the highest court on the planet to be complicit in this.
It really frightens me to be witnessing a genocide in real time and to have no power. And I can't help but think back to being in high school and protesting the Iraq War, Afghanistan War, and how powerless I felt as a teenager, but I was a teenager. I didn't really know who my congresspeople were. I didn't really know about calling in and whatever, but there were plenty of people doing that then. And we couldn't stop it. And now I'm calling every day, and now I'm showing up to rallies. More people have been out in the streets, like every weekend. And even with this hearing, I don't know, like we're defunding the UN RWA. Like, these are it's like, we're not going to follow the UN. We're not going to be in line with the UN. I don't know. It's like, how am I supposed to care about voting? How am I supposed to have any trust or faith in leaders like Lori, like our senators, like our president? I just have to sit back and watch genocide happen on my phone every day. It's crazy.
So our last point actually in the letter is to please restore money to UNRWA. And now after we've had this ruling to prevent food and water and the other aid that UNRWA provides is contributing to the genocide. One, two, and we should make sure, another reason for stopping our funding is because two senators just came back, Senator Leahy and Merkley, I think, who visited the Rafah crossing and saw that there were hundreds of trucks, aid trucks lined up to get in, but they had to go through, in fact, they had to be investigated by soldiers. They said they're only working like 9 to 5 and they don't. The Saturday, and our senator said this is a 24-hour genocide. We let them in, and they said, well, many of the trucks get refused because there's things in the trucks that are not allowed. And so they said, well, we'd like to see what's not allowed. They went to a warehouse, they found tents. There were tents in there because they had tent poles that would use as weapons. They had medical kits. They had scalpels.
Insulin is not allowed?
Right, so at any rate, I thank you so much for listening to us.
Yeah.
What is the best way for us to communicate to Lori and possibly make a difference? So already there are states saying they're not gonna vote for Biden this election. So already Biden may lose this next election if he in fact is the presidential candidate. Is there any way that you think we may be able to make an impact on Lori?
No, so, I mean, you're doing it right now. I'm gonna be talking with her after this and giving her and our staff in DC a readout on everything you guys have all brought up today. I mean, the calls, we track every call that we get, and we give her a readout on the volume of calls and the subject matter of these calls. So we've been communicating. She knows who's been calling and on what issues, so we've heard, and the Congresswoman has heard.
Does she expect to make any sort of, intend to make any sort of response?
Prove it and lead.
I'm not.
No, I know,
Just-
that's okay, that's, I mean, rhetorical, you know, ask her why we haven't gotten a response since the week after October 7th. Like,
Silence is a response.
it is.
And this is making us less safe. I am so shamed and angry that my country is participating in this. They know what they're doing. They're bombing hospitals, they're bombing ambulances. I read this morning a video of bombing a maternity ward in a hospital, which is almost like you tell us we can't prevent women having births, we're gonna bomb a maternity ward. I mean, it's wrong. It's against Jewish values, it's against human values, it's against American values. We should not, I'm ashamed, and we can't expect to do this without getting horrific blowback. I'm gonna thank you. Thank you again for your wonderful time.
No, I
And you got the letter,
appreciate
right?
you. Yeah, please.
Oh, yes, go ahead.